I could tell. All ego with this one.
All right, let's get it. It is Monday night. Raiders, Chargers, Monday Night Football. We should have that ball flying through the air. I'm expected to see some points, have some fun with all this. This is the Yahoo NFL live show. I'm Pete McCarthy, hanging out with Eric Lindquist. How we doing on this Monday, Eric?
Oh, we're doing lovely. We're talking light systems. We're talking, how to set up your place so it doesn't look like a Holiday Inn Express. That's a work in progress over here on this end. I was promised as my wedding gift from the fiance that we're going to have some sports memorabilia possibly hung up in here, which, that's a big step. That's how you know she is serious about me.
That's a big one. I haven't set up a whole lot of sports memorabilia in my little basement area here either. All I have is like the depressing row of hats. Florida State football, terrible.
Ooh.
Jets, terrible.
Ooh.
Hofstra, my alma mater, doesn't even have football anymore. It's a sad sack thing. The Mets are up there. They're done.
Yep. Well, they can join every Minnesota team that sucks too. So misery loves company. That's why we're friends over here.
We're all in it together, baby. And now the New England Patriots are down with us in the muck as they experienced a little bit last night. If they're feeling good about their little rookie quarterback. Anyway,
he played really well though. Like you can't expect against Tampa Bay. I mean, Mac Jones played as good as you could expect in that spot.
I'll give him a little bit of credit, but he's no Zach Wilson like my depressing Jets just launching haymakers.
And that's all the time we have for today. We'll catch you later on the Yahoo show because they're gonna cut the cord now. Oh God,
that happens sometimes. Raiders, Chargers. I mean, these are real football teams with some experienced quarterbacks. Justin Herbert, of course, raising that bar for all these poor rookie quarterbacks this year have struggled throughout the whole way. Today's show, obviously sponsored by Yahoo. It's also brought to you by our sports betting podcast, Betting You. Ben Rossa and Matt Gajeski have you covered with everything college football betting as they take you through each conference and the best bets on the board. Betting You is available now wherever you get your podcast with new episodes dropping every Wednesday. So they'll be coming in a couple of days. You're spending a lot of time with Matty G of late.
I was going to say, he and I are basically compadres now in this game we call life. We do all of the live before lock stuff. He was on Sunday live before lock. It was good to have him on there with me. We do the rapid fire questions at the very end. If you are looking to have your question answered in the last 10 minutes leading up to lock, if you're hand building lineups, Matt Gajewski is the guy for the job. So check that out tonight.
He's just spitting out. He's got that stuff all in his head, ready to go. Pass. I mean, whatever you're looking for, he's ready. He's prepped.
Yeah, I feel like I'm prepared. He makes me look like I've never watched a sport in my life.
Yeah, I get that feeling sometimes. And that's when I'm with you. So like I'm way down on the ladder here. Of course, give us a like, subscribe, keep up with all of our shows, DFS offers, giveaways, and much, much more. And once you subscribe, hit that notification button. You get alerts when our shows go live. Be sure to also check out today's free premium duels, tools, and data, which is NFL Showdown single game projections. Pretty useful tonight because there's no baseball. There's no basketball yet, right? We got NFL Showdown Monday Night Football action here with the Raiders, the Chargers. Basic info for tonight. Chargers favored by 3, over under 51. The Chargers are at home, but only technically because it's SoFi Stadium. Nobody in LA seems to like the Chargers. And what do you think? You're in LA. 70% Raiders fans tonight?
Probably more, but here's the thing. The Chargers are the team that I'm the most invested in, period, probably in my entire life. I picked them to make the Super Bowl. Well, okay. I picked them at their odds to make the Super Bowl before the year. I was in Vegas for a bachelor party, two and a half months ago. Fired a nice chunk of change on them to make the Super Bowl, to win the AFC West, which is insanity how good the AFC West is. And obviously with the Chargers there, it was ridiculous. Sorry, with the Chiefs there, it's a ridiculous bet in a lot of ways. Kind of looking for hedge opportunities more so than anything. But I got to tell you, they look pretty good as a football team.
And now, are you more invested financially or emotionally now?
All financial. Yeah,
it's just financial.
Well, not only that, but I'm marrying into a Duck family. So Justin Herbert is like the only person that they would prefer I married other than their daughter would be Justin Herbert for sure.
Oh, he's kind of a rival.
Oh, I guess so in that regard. And it sounds like he's funny too. Like he's just like, he's got like that. He quotes Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore all the time. He's basically the improved NFL version of me. Taller, less handsome for sure.
but definitely less handsome. All right. And of course, injuries, the big one, Josh Jacobs. We still don't know if he's going to play. The latest per Adam Schefter, he's going to test it out pregame to determine if he can go. So we kind of have to do two shows, one with Josh Jacobs and one without Josh Jacobs, and we'll try to piece it together. But this is why Live Before Lock will be very important to be in on later. I guess we'll find out about an hour and a half before game time whether or not he'll be able to play.
Yeah, and here's the thing. On Yahoo, it probably matters less than other sites because basically Josh Jacobs is priced in a place, $21. Like if he's in, you can get shares of him. You probably don't want to go nuts with him. If he's out, you play Peyton Barber. And either way, Kenyon Drake is probably somebody you can get to in a passing game format. But on a half-point PPR site, I mean, for Kenyon Drake to be $1 more than Peyton Barber, you just play the guy who's getting 20-plus carries in that situation. And, coming off of 23 rushing attempts against Miami, I don't see that in the forecast in the event that Josh Jacobs is out. But yeah, you bring up a good point right off the bat. Of course, we're going to be waiting on that news. We'll have you covered for Live Before Lock. But yeah, Josh Jacobs won't have a ton of him if he's in either way, specifically on Yahoo. But Peyton Barber would be like the best play on the slate if you get Josh Jacobs out.
Well, this is one of the trends that I noticed looking at what these teams have done. Granted, it's 3 games, a little small sample size, all that kind of stuff. The Chargers are 31st in the NFL, according to DVOA over at Football Outsiders, defending the run. Washington football team, they give up 126 yards. Dallas, we know, ran all over them, 198 yards. And then Kansas City last year, 186 yards rushing, which you don't necessarily expect from Kansas City. And what's amazing is the Chargers won 2 of those games. So it's not like they got down and then teams are just running the ball all over them. They're just not good at stopping the run. They're also without 2 defensive players. Linebacker Kenneth Murray hurt his ankle in practice, was carted off this week. He is out. Also defensive lineman Justin Jones. But it's kind of a good matchup for them in the way that the Raiders running game has been equally terrible, in part because Josh Jacobs hasn't played the last 2 games, though they did start to ratchet it up a little bit with the benefit of the extra overtime quarter against Miami, 140 rushing yards there, but they are ranked 30th offensively in running the ball.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I don't know the right way of putting it. It's like the inanimate object, the opposable force. I don't know what that whole saying is. I don't know.
I like inanimate. That's good.
Wherever my brain was going with that, we're going to just kind of write that off and move on with our day. But as you said, Kansas City, the thing that sticks out to me is that they held Patrick Mahomes to 251 passing yards. And I know there were some fluke touchdowns. He threw 2 picks. They had 2 fumble recoveries in that game as well. So there were 4 turnovers. Kansas City was really kind of self-inflicting a lot of those wounds. And you would have definitely seen some positive regression there. But Derek Carr going over 380 yards passing. The Chargers haven't given up more than 251 yards passing yet in their 3 games. And 2 of them, Kansas City and Dallas, they got some real quarterbacks there. Fitzpatrick got hurt in week 1 in that first game. So I'm not going to write too much into Taylor Heineke, although he looks really good here of late as well. I got to just be thinking this Chargers, it's going to be a little bit of a funnel. We're going to see a lot of teams try to run the ball on them. Also keeps the Chargers offense with unbelievable skill players and Justin Herbert, a very serviceable sophomore quarterback who's coming into his own off the field. So I'm expecting a lot of that too. That's why I'm really kind of keying in on Peyton Barber in the event Josh Jacobs is out. And in the event Josh Jacobs is in, I got to be thinking he's going to get close to a full workload, but at least the concerns would be there.
And I don't know about you, I really like the Raiders tonight to win this game outright. So I don't mind playing a Raiders running back. I think this sets up for Peyton Barber to be getting those 20-plus carries if Josh Jacobs is out.
Yeah, can we talk about the Raiders defense as well? I mean, this is a much improved defense that we're seeing out of them, and I love the Chargers. I just got done saying all of the glowing, amazing things that I did there, and I know Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Miami, those aren't exactly the best offenses that we're looking at. I mean, Pittsburgh's like dead last right now in PFF in offense, which is scary to say out loud here, but Miami, obviously going up against Jacoby Brissett, wasn't very imposing either. And Baltimore, Lamar Jackson rushed first. We saw him get 189 yards on the ground as a team in that one, only 217 yards passing. I mean, they've just been serviceable at being able to limit anything major. They only have 3 turnovers on the season here, but they're getting after the quarterback.
Yes.
7 sacks that they have now in the early going through 3 weeks. That's just over 2 per game. I do like what they're doing as far as getting a pass rush going. they're limiting whatever the major weapon is on the other side. I mean, they were limiting just about anything that had to do with Malcolm Brown against Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I mean, they just completely neutralized that. In Miami, it was pretty straightforward for them as well. No real star that existed there, but the Raiders are a really improved defense. And so this Chargers team, I really, really love them as far as the skill positions go, but everybody else is too. So in terms of trying to get different, I mean, I'm definitely going to be building more Raiders heavy game scripts.
It sounds like you like the under in this game too.
I do. So the Chargers also, so Brandon Staley is the head coach of the Chargers. He was the defensive coordinator, he was the defensive coordinator of the Rams last year, completely revamped that defense after a pretty down 2019 team. He basically revamped everything on that side of the ball. He had Jalen Ramsey, which definitely helps things out quite a bit. Aaron Donald, the best player in football, probably. So those are two useful assets, but he completely revamped it, made them dominant. I mean, the Rams were just dominant defensively. And now you get a healthy Derwin James for the first time in 2 years at safety. He's a game-changing player. We're seeing him make an impact right away. Cowboys have just been looking like they're firing on all cylinders. They were in a tightly contested game where they limited them to 17 points. I like what I've seen out of this defense big time. Bosa, obviously, on the edge as well. We're going to see them be very, very good going forward this entire season. And I just think both defenses can get some work done in this one.
So, lean Raiders a little bit even though they're a 3-point underdog going in tonight, the over-under sitting at 51. Maybe we don't quite reach that. I could see these quarterbacks winging it quite a bit. But as we talked about, there are some weaknesses in the rush defense there for the Chargers, and that's how some teams have attacked them. Not exactly the strength of the Raiders, but we'll see how that plays out. Our Awesemo Plus NFL Express weekly pass is only $3.95. It's the best way to introduce yourself to Awesemo Plus NFL. Included is access to our NFL player and ownership rankings, our expert Slack chat, and everything we have to offer for showdown and single game contests. New this year to the package is our season-long fantasy football coverage, which includes our strength of schedule tool, trade value tool, and fantasy streaming helper. Also included and new this year is projected ownership and optimal lineup probabilities for tiers contests on DraftKings. Now's the time to try out Awesemo Plus NFL with our most expansive Express weekly pass ever. Head on over to the Awesemo Plus join page and pick your pass up for only $3.95. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. And then you go check out Yahoo and the contests that they have tonight, usually at least 3 showdowns per week. Sometimes the 4:00 game, the late game, the Sunday window gets in there as well. But we're locking in on this Monday night game tonight. And let's start with the quarterbacks here, Eric. Justin Herbert, he's going to be $33, $5 more expensive than Derek Carr, even though Carr's the guy who's the reigning AFC player of the month and is averaging over 400 yards passing per game.
Yeah, Derek Carr is my priority for the superstar, mainly because I expect Herbert to be getting a lot more looks there. And I think justifiably so, but for tournaments where you're trying to go out and win this $150K Monday Night Football baller over on Yahoo, which, by the way, $15K with a live final entry and a less than 12% management fee, as other people might know that rake. It's the best contest you can be playing for Monday Night Football tonight. I've got a bunch of entries in there. This is probably my favorite showdown slate. And it's basically because I could see some Derek Carr in the superstar spot really working out, as well as if you get Josh Jacobs in, having him in the superstar, Peyton Barber. I'm even going to have some shares in the superstar spot. Half point PPR over there, but quarterbacks, we talk about it all the time. On these half point PPR sites, you need to be playing both of them a lot. There's no way around it. Justin Herbert projects out really well for us, 296 passing yards, just over 2 touchdowns, as opposed to Derek Carr's at 277 passing yards, 1.86 touchdowns. So, I mean, a little bit less, but it's such a negligible difference for me. And I'm expecting that Herbert's going to have almost double the superstar, and just because he's the first name listed there, he's $33. And as the 3-point home favorite, people just feel confident. I've seen it time and time again on Yahoo this season. And we saw it last night as well.
Mac Jones was 29% owned in the Yahoo tournament that I played last night, and he was the optimal superstar. 29%. People do not want to go to the underdog quarterback.
I don't understand it because they're the ones who are built in. They have such a low, like they're such a high floor on them as plays. And when you're talking about a 1-game sample, more likely than not, almost every single time out, 2 of those quarterbacks are going to finish in the top 6. We see it We have our showdown statistics that we have over at Awesemo as well. We have the top stacks. We have the top showdown plays. We have everything kind of grouped 2 through 6. So removing the superstar and having it there, or on other sites, we'll be talking about the optimal captain. Here it's superstar, and we're looking at simply who's going to score the most fantasy points. And more times than not, unless you see a 2-touchdown performance out of a running back or a massive receiving output with a bunch of yardage for a wide receiver, the 2 quarterbacks are just exponentially better plays over there. But that being said, Herbert is probably going to see 10, 20% more in the superstar spot than what Derek Carr is. So I'm just going to be riding pretty heavy with Derek Carr.
Yeah, and if you're going to ride heavy with Derek Carr, it's interesting with the receivers, right? Like, who do you really pair him with? Because his number one receiver is a tight end in Darren Waller, a team high 33 targets on the year. You're going to have to pay up for Darren Waller, $26. But after that, Hunter Renfrow, a good possession receiver. He's had 16 catches, over 200 yards so far this season. Just $14. You want the big play threat. Henry Ruggs III would be your guy there. 21.5 yards per reception so far this year. And then you have some dart throws beyond that. But you have a big 3 to lock in on. Is there one, including the price, that you like to pair with Carr when you look at how this might set up tonight?
Well, it depends what you're trying to accomplish with your lineups. I'm always aiming to win. Like, for me, I'm aiming to win. I don't want to split with 50 people at the top of these tournaments. And I know that that might seem counterintuitive, but I just think avoiding duplication is such an important thing. And the other nice thing about playing Carr in the superstar spot is, one, your lineup's different almost immediately from anybody else who's putting Justin Herbert up top. It just, by default, he's going to be the highest owned superstar. He should be the highest owned superstar. I'm not denying that. And I'll have a few shares here and there, but I'm going to have to get really funky elsewhere in the flex. With Derek Carr, you just switch him and Justin Herbert in lineups, and you're avoiding a massive amount of duplication with a negligible difference in their fantasy outputs. So I'm looking at pairing Derek Carr quite a bit. And I know Darren Waller will be the number one that you want to get him with. But what's really cool about Yahoo today is if I go Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, and Austin Eckler to kind of start off the lineups, it's $13. You actually have some viable $13, $12 players. Bryan Edwards is somebody that you didn't throw out there. He's only had 13 targets here on the season, but he's a big play receiver. We saw him, a couple touchdowns. He had the touchdown that he was down inside the 1 yard line 2 weeks ago, and stuff like that keeps kind of popping up for him. Henry Ruggs, we know, can be a deep threat, and the 7 targets, just giving him opportunities for some of those deep balls. Another guy that can definitely pop off. But for me, Hunter Renfrow at $14 as well, 22 targets, middle of the field hog. I mean, he ended up getting in the box, which, made him 16.2 fantasy points over on Yahoo last week against Miami. I mean, it's just kind of one of those spots where, like, I want to get to a lot of him because I think people are going to be kind of forced to go down to more Ruggs, more Bryan Edwards. I want to try to get in that weird spot where Hunter Renfrow's at 14.
And Renfrow, he can find the end zone. I mean, he's totally had a nose for that. He's not a guy that's just going to be productive between the 20s. You're not waiting for the 60-yard touchdown catch necessarily, but he's going to be a factor finding those holes in the defense all the way through this game. How about the Chargers' offensive attack, passing attack? Austin Eckler kind of gets thrown into all of this. And what's nice about Eckler is he's game script proof. If they're ahead, he'll run a lot. If they're behind, he'll catch the ball a lot. So that is the thought out of the backfield, though he hasn't been quite as prolific as he was last year in that category. But let's start Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Interesting, Mike Williams on other sites, very expensive today. On Yahoo, he's actually less than Keenan Allen, $27 for Allen, $25 for Williams, who's been their red zone guy, 4 touchdowns so far this year.
I shouldn't have to preach to all of you why it's so important to play on multiple sites, but here we go. This is why you need to play on multiple sites, because Mike Williams is such an easy plug and play here at $25. And there are lineups that if you're going to be zeroing it out, I feel no different going down from Keenan Allen to Mike Williams. And that's such a weird thing to say. 33 targets on the season for Keenan Allen, 31 for Mike Williams, negligible. Mike Williams with Joe Lombardi, the new offensive coordinator there, coming in from the Saints. He was a quarterback guru. He made Dusty Drew Brees a thing for years, kind of elongated his career. He's the grandson of Vince Lombardi. What more do you need? We need to fire up as much Mike Williams as possible now before everybody just starts jamming him the way they jammed Devontae Adams. I mean, Mike Williams is an wide receiver. He is a number one. He is a monster. He always has been. And we've seen the upside through the years. mainly Anthony Lynn, when he just was getting his head out of his you-know-what. It was unbelievable how many times you could see these eruption spots for Mike Williams. And now we're going to see it on a week-to-week basis. We're going to see some massive outputs from this guy. He is going to be special. Keenan Allen, he's there. He's secure. He's got his big contract. He's going to continue to get peppered with targets. He's got 2 games already of 12 plus targets. I mean, there's no question about his production, but Mike Williams makes big plays. And now you're getting the target volume, 9 plus targets in all 3 games. That's the thing that was never there before. That's the thing that we're targeting. And that's the reason that he is going to be by far my highest owned wide receiver on Yahoo.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. You stay away from him on the other sites. You kind of hedge your bets a little bit on that and have the ability to get up top one place or the other. But it's the first time I've heard Drew Brees called Dusty.
He was so dusty for years.
Kind of just out of left field, man. I mean, that's pretty cruel.
Yeah, I mean, he's second all time in passing yards. I mean, I believe Tom Brady's better now, right?
I guess so. So is Ben Roethlisberger now the dustiest quarterback in the league?
Oh, he's always been the dustiest. It's been years of him being the dustiest quarterback in the league. All he does is back up and, you know what? I'm 34. I'm pretty sure I could just go and chuck it. I mean, there's been some silent film highlight reel kind of garbage out of Ben Roethlisberger the last 2 weeks.
We need to add a stat, somewhere on Awesemo for the dusty rankings of NFL quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, no, there's dusty. There's like walking into an attic that hasn't been refurbished in 20 years. Dusty. That's where Ben Roethlisberger is. I would say Drew Brees was maybe like you went away for 2 months and came back to your apartment and needed to clean out Dusty. And that's kind of what Drew Brees was. And you needed to clean him out of New Orleans.
And Tom Brady's still spotless house. At least that's
Tom Brady. Yeah, no, Tom Brady is still like, oh my God, do I live in a glass house that's just protected from all things? He's like the guy with one of those nice fancy fans that absorbs.
Yeah, he's got the
dust.
HIPAA filter going, all that kind of stuff.
That's what it is.
We're here for the Yahoo Fantasy
analysis. Yeah.
No, this is the good stuff, man. We've partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season to bring you the dustiest rankings of NFL players. It's all too good to be true. And thanks to our partnership with Yahoo, we have an exclusive deal. It gets you 2 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Yeah, 2 free months. At a good time to have 2 months. You got baseball playoffs coming up. You got the NBA season starting up. You're going to have all this. And obviously, it's football season. And you get 3 days a week where you have these big matchups to get into. Now, to qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. So sign up for an account via the link in the video description below. Deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest. We'll reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access because you want to play tonight, email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you all set up. Just to emphasize, this offers for new Yahoo users only. If you're already a Yahoo user, you won't be eligible for this promo. Now, once you're signed up, you'll get $10 of free site credit you can use to enter contests, including tonight's $15K to first Monday Night Football Baller. I mentioned this last week. I took that $10 free. We're up to 95 now after last night. Let's go, baby. You. The only thing I do, I play both quarterbacks and all these things. And it's pretty, I find Yahoo to be relatively simple. There's a lot of overlay in these. It is not
Where'd you learn to play 2 quarterbacks like that? Where'd you do that?
I crunch a lot of numbers, baby, and I listen to my guy. Well,
there's that, and we have the best tools in
Ben
the
industry.
Rasa. That's what I was more getting at. But yes, if you want to give me the compliment, that sounds great too. We did have a super chat. Nick the Picker said, not Yahoo related. We don't like that, but it's on BetMGM at 35.5, and they are a partner of Yahoo. So I'm just fine talking about Bryan Edwards over under 35.5 reception yards -110. I love that number, and here's why. First of all, our projections have him for around 43.5. That's a plus. Secondly, the main reason I'm throwing it out there, Bryan Edwards can get a lot done with very limited targets. 17.8 receiving yards per target on the season. That's up from 16.2, 13.3. That is a big number that you're looking at. He only needs 2 or 3 of those to really make that worth your while. So Nick the Picker, fire that one up. Love the over on 35.5.
It doesn't help the yardage much here, but also he's been targeting the red zone a couple of times in recent weeks. So we talked about Edwards as being someone to keep an eye on as far as, some other Raiders receivers to find, and he can get himself involved a couple of different ways. Also, with your 2 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum, you get access to our tools, projections specifically designed for Yahoo DFS to help you win big with Yahoo Fantasy. Take advantage, join today, make that happen. Let's lock in on the running backs. And the Chargers are pretty simple, right? Austin Eckler, look, he's $32. You got to pay up for him, but you like him in this spot. There's a lot of different ways where he gets involved. Beyond him, is there anybody else that you're really even considering mixing in?
From the Charger side, no. I mean, it's just an easy him or bust. When you've seen Justin Jackson, I mean, he's had 7 rushing attempts now through 3 weeks. That's not going to get it done. So no Justin Jackson. Larry Roundtree's been out there once in a while. He's got 13 rushing attempts now, but hasn't been involved the last 2 weeks. I think it's just an easy Austin Eckler, unless you're going to play 4 Raiders and you somehow expect, like in garbage time, one of those guys to be the one who gets there. Now that I just said it out loud, of course, that's going to be what happens. But absolutely Austin Eckler or bust from the Charger side.
And the running game, as we've talked about for the Raiders, we're kind of waiting to see exactly what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs. So let's discuss just real fast the 2 scenarios. If Josh Jacobs does play, now you got to worry, well, how much is he going to play? That kind of drops the value of everybody in this mess of a timeshare back there, because I don't think we expect Josh Jacobs to go out coming off this ankle injury and get 20, 25 carries.
Not only that, but I just think the slate becomes so much more interesting if he's not in, mainly because people that aren't using Fantasy Cruncher the way that they should, to be able to get a bunch of salary on the table, which is exactly what I'll have, because I'm sure Peyton Barber, his projection will jump through the roof here, and you'll be able to leave $6, $8, $10 on the table with ease. But in the event Josh Jacobs is in, he's still a tough play for me there at $21. And it becomes kind of a write-off of Peyton Barber. I think Kenyon Drake would still probably see the field enough, mainly because he's the 3rd down back there. He's received 5+ targets in all of them, and he's yet to get in the end zone from the receiving volume. So if that were to happen, you're looking at some very positive regression for him there if he finally scores this season. And then for Peyton Barber, he'd just be a complete write-off. But Peyton Barber becomes the easy plug and play if Josh Jacobs is out. And he would allow you to leave a lot of salary on the table, especially if you were to try to, I don't know, playing defense is a tough ask for me on Yahoo specifically. I think it's a little bit more viable on other sites, but looking at the defense, I would be playing a lot of Peyton Barber in the Superstar and trying to get a little bit different in one of those low scoring formats that we were talking about.
Well, what about if Jacobs is out, then Peyton Barber is going to see the majority of the carries, it seems. Kenyon Drake last week, they were playing from ahead against Miami, but he went from 71% of the snaps 2 weeks ago to 43% last week. That's a little nerve-wracking and would seem to be enough that maybe it's a little more than just a game script thing.
Yeah. Who was that again? Who were you?
Drake.
Isolating? Yeah, Drake. The Drake thing is he's going to be working down, and they were in a positive game script that whole time for Peyton Barber to just kind of get fed the rock. You saw 23 rushing attempts for him here. But yeah, Kenyon Drake definitely going to be a guy that is going to keep the same role regardless of Jacobs being in or out, I believe.
Defenses, Raiders are $14, Chargers $12. Kind of interesting. The Raiders are ahead, even though they're the underdog here. Do you mix them in a whole lot here?
So I would be more interested to get to the Raiders just as a contrarian. If they were to get to 10, 11, you kind of need a pick 6, or you need a fumble recovery. You need 7 sacks. You need something special out of a defense for it to work out optimally. It's a tough ask on Yahoo today. I think there's more other sites where it'd be a little bit more viable, but just because the Chargers are $12 and they are the favorite, I think they might garner a little bit more rostership. So give me the $14 Raiders just to like mix and match, but nothing in a meaningful way.
Superstar spot. I like the Raiders in this game, as we talked about. I love to put receivers at the top, even though, as you mentioned on Yahoo, I mean, it just differentiates you a little bit. But the Raiders, it's hard to find, that receiver that you really think is just going to go off and be the absolute number one. You really have to go to Darren Waller, I guess, and hope that he just goes absolutely off. I mean, I like what you talked about before. Derek Carr differentiates you enough. Figure we're going to see a ton of Justin Herbert in that top spot tonight. I think you have it right with Carr in the superstar spot. Anyone else that you lean towards potentially there?
Well, yeah, and we've seen the last 2 weeks where Darren Waller, and you don't want to say, box score, but he hasn't put up over 10 fantasy points. And I think it's viable to play Derek Carr, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and kind of start your lineups that way. You have $16 left per player. Peyton Barber's in there. That becomes another easy click. And then you have $17 per player left there. You can go and mix and match. Do you want to try Bryan Edwards? Do you want to try do you want to make Henry Ruggs your thing? Hunter Renfrow, my favorite of the grouping, where I think it'll be easier to leave some money on the table. Like Derek Carr just allows for a little bit more differentiation from the field. So I think that's why he's the priority there.
All right. This has been the Yahoo NFL Live show. Get it done tonight. And still a ton coming up. Eric's going to be busy tonight, live before lock with Matt Kajeski. We also have the NFL Showdown Deeper Dive coming your way at 6:30 Eastern here on the Awesemo DFS channel. Subscribe, like, all that kind of fun stuff. We appreciate it much. Hopefully we're helping you out a little bit. For Eric Lindquist, I'm Dusty Pete McCarthy.
Just dust on the mirror. Dust.
Well, I probably got plenty.